If you're a writer intending to publish, it's time to think about your website. So, today I want to talk about how to design an author website. Most people, authors, wait to think about their website until they publish. This is not such a good idea because the primary purpose of your website is to collect email addresses. So, if you build your website before you publish, you'll already have a list of readers hungry for your writing, ready for you to announce you've published your book. It's much easier to create that email list when you have a website. So remember its purpose whenever you think, I don't want to have to do that yet. You really do want to get it done now. So I'm going to tell you why and how to build one and hopefully make you see it's simpler than you might think. And if you hang on until the end, I'll tell you how to get a readership building checklist that has the steps to building your website in it. This is Ignited Ink Writing, a channel dedicated to helping authors like you transform your writing so it lingers with your readers. Because writing that lingers gets remembered and recommended to others. I'm Caitlin Burvey, editor and writer. Let's jump right into why authors need a website before they publish. The number one goal of your website is to collect email addresses. It's not to sell your books, it's not to have your blog, it's not to announce your events. Those are all secondary purposes. Its primary goal is just to get more readers on your email list. Your email list is your most valuable marketing tool. That's why people stress it so often, because you own your email list. You do not own your Facebook followers, your TikTok followers, your YouTube subscribers, your Twitter followers, any of those people. Those are owned by those companies, by those platforms. At any point in time, your social media can decide to change. It might change the algorithm, it might change how it works, and all of your followers, everything you've built, just goes away. But they cannot do that to your email address. You own your email address. You own your author website. That's why those are so powerful and so important. When you build your author website before you publish, you get the chance to start collecting those emails before you publish. Your email list is a list of readers who have said, yes, I like you and your writing and I want you to market to me. I want you to tell me when your next book comes out. That's a big deal. They want more from you. You collect those email addresses through lots of places, but a website is a good option. When you build your website and collect email addresses before you publish, you get lots of sales right away from those people on your list. Now, not everyone's going to buy your book, but a good percentage will. And that first month of sales is super important on platforms like Amazon. So you really need to have people waiting for your book before you publish, instead of trying to build from scratch after you publish. If you do that, you lose that first month. The final reason I recommend you establish your website before you publish is because publication is a whirlwind. I did it recently. You're going to have lots of demands for your time, attention, and energy. You'll be working with proofreaders, cover designers, other types of editors, marketers, book bloggers, all sorts of people. You're not going to have time to build your website from scratch then. So get it done before you need it. That way it's ready to go and you don't even have to think about it during that time. Trust me, you will thank yourself for doing that. So those are the reasons why you need an author website. Next, I want to cover what to put on your author website. I know websites can sound overwhelming, but in today's age, you don't actually need to know how to code to build one, and you don't need a super complicated one. There's really only 4 pages or sections you need on your author website. Everything else is entirely optional. So first, you want your home page. Like most websites, you need a home page. The primary purpose of your home page should be to get people on your email list. That means you want a call to action above the fold. So, Above the fold is what someone sees before they start scrolling on your website. It is left over from newspapers. The front page of the newspaper, the most important part, was the part that you saw before the newspaper was folded in half. It's the same concept on a website. Above the fold is what you see before you have to do anything else. You don't have to open it, you don't have to scroll. A call to action is you telling your website visitor what you want them to do. This should be join my email list. Now you might just say subscribe. You might say subscribe and get a free short story or a free character sketch or something like that. Usually trading something for an email works better. And don't worry, we're going to talk about email lists next week. So that's your homepage. It also acts as a navigation and lets people know what else they can find on your website. Then you need an about page. People go to your website to learn more about you. So share a little bit. Let them get to know you. You can be as personal or professional as you want, but remember, modern readers like to know the person behind their favorite companies, products, books, whatever. So you do need to get a little bit personal. Give them something to relate to. Your third page is your books page. You're an author, you need a page dedicated to that. Even if you don't have anything published. If you don't have something published, and even if you do, you can put on your books page what you're currently working on. A little teaser, updates to keep readers excited and waiting for that book. And finally, the fourth and last page you need is a contact page. This way, readers can send you fan emails, and if someone wants you to come speak at an event, they have a way to contact you. If a book club wants to order a bunch of copies and maybe they want a discount or signed ones, they can contact you there too. So that's all you really need to have an author website. A home page, an About You page, a page dedicated to your books, and a Contact You page. It's that simple. Now, as you grow as an author, you might need other pages, or you might choose to include other pages, but these are entirely optional. The most common are a blog, podcast, or vlog page. Now, a blog is not right for every author. Just because you're a good writer doesn't mean a blog is worth your time. So I do have a video dedicated to help you figure out whether or not blogging is right for you. That video is, should you start an author blog? It'll walk you through the pros and cons so you can figure out if that's really something you want to do. Other authors have an events page. So once you start to get speaking engagements and things like that, you might need to add an events page. This both tells people when you're busy, it lets readers know when they can come and see you, and it lets potential venues know that you are speaking about your book. Your blog and your events page should only be created if you intend on keeping up with them. If your blog or events page gets out of date, you're super sporadic about updating it, it makes your website look old and abandoned. Those are not good things. So it's better to not have those pages than to do them poorly. Another optional page you might want is a speaker page. If you want to give presentations related to your book, you need to let people know. Your website is a great place to tell people that you do speak about it and to let them know what your topics are, that sort of a thing. I have a speaker page on my website. Now, I'm an author and an editor. So on my editing website, I talk about presentations related to writing. On my author website, I talk about presentations related to fantasy, magic, fairy tales, the genre that I write in. So whatever speaking presentations you're offering, make sure they're related to your book. Not everyone's going to want to speak about it. That is completely fine. You see that more in nonfiction than in fiction, but some people still do for fiction. One of my author friends is William Liggett. He's the author of Watermelon Snow, and he talks about the glacier that his story takes place on because he had a trip there. So he has this great presentation with awesome photos and the science behind it. And his book is fiction. So just because you write fiction doesn't mean you can't give presentations. So, optional pages, blog, podcast, vlog, whatever you want to do. Events page, a speaker page, and the fourth one is a merchandise or donation page. If you want to sell things other than books, you might want a separate sort of shop page for those. These are things that might be mugs, blankets, t-shirts, anything like that, swag. Your donations page is similar. Maybe if people donate to you, or if they pledge to donate so much a month through Patreon or Kickstarter, something like that, they'll get something in return. Usually it's swag. Sometimes it's a short story dedicated to them or something along those lines. That's the fourth type of optional page you might want to have on your website. Again, you don't need those, and it's way more common to add those later as you grow than when you first start. That's what I would recommend doing. If you go to my author website, caitlinburvey.com, and my editing website, ignitedinkWriting.com, you'll see that Ignited Ink Writing has way more pages. That's because it needs more. My author website is simple compared to it. Yours can and should be too. Now that I've told you why you need an author website and how to get started making one, I do want to give you one last reminder. An author website is for your readers. When designing your website, remember it's not really for you and your books. It's for your readers. So yes, you still want to like it and be proud of it, but more importantly, you want to make it a place readers want to be. You need to put things on your website that will draw readers, that will give them a reason to visit. You need to design it in a way that's going to appeal to them. Here's an example of what I mean. A lot of authors I know, especially ones who also teach, include too much writing technical language and points on their website. If your website is for your fiction books, not for your writing business, it should be focused on that. So you don't want a bunch of blog posts or points that are talking about writing mechanics or story structure. Instead, you want things that appeal to just readers, not writers. Those things appeal to writers. Readers are interested in things like where you got your ideas. That will never stop fascinating readers. They love to know that. They also want to know when your next book's coming out, what you're working on. They might want to know what inspires you. Maybe a character was based on a specific person. Tell them that. That's the sort of thing that readers are interested in. You can also branch outside of your writing. On my author website, I have 3 types of what I call blog posts, but they're not all actually blog posts. First, I have quizzes. Right now, I have a What is Your Magical Creature quiz that's completed. The next one I'm making is Which Magic Wielder Are You? These are quizzes that I know my target fantasy readers will love doing. 2, I have crafts. I love crafting. It's something that I connect with other people with. So I have instructions for certain crafts that I've done, again, that are fantasy related. So right now I have how to make an owl dream catcher. That's something I was planning on giving away at my book release party. The third is related to my inspiration. My published book is a collection of modern fairy tales. In it, I imagined what fairy tales would look like if they took place today instead of a long time ago. So in my blog posts related to that, I talk about what inspired me from the original fairy tales and either how they've evolved over time or what caused those first fairy tales to be created. I have to be careful when I do those. I love the history of fairy tales and I can easily become too academic for general readers. So I have to pull myself back and make sure I'm being fun and interesting and not delivering a paper on fairy tales. I have to keep in mind that my website is for my readers, not for me. You're going to have to do the same thing with yours. Next, I want to share an editor's, author's, and website builder's advice on building your author website. Hopefully, I've helped you see that websites are not as scary as they might seem at first. But I do want to remind you too that in this modern age, you do not have to know how to code to build a website. I use Squarespace for both of my websites. Their direct competitors are Wix and Weebly. These types of website builders are drag and drop. That means I take a block over here that's called text, I click it and I drag it to where I want it to be on the website page, and I drop it and it stays there. And now I can type in that box whatever I want to. Then I can take a picture, I click on it, I drag it over to where I want it, I drop it, and it stays there. It's that simple when you're doing a drag and drop editor. Now, getting it set up can be a little difficult because you have to do the fonts, the colors, you have to make all of those decisions right away. So if technology overwhelms you, you might have someone help you set it up and then take over from there. You are perfectly capable of editing these websites. So if there's a misspelled word or you need to adjust an event time, you can learn how to do that yourself. That will get it done quicker and save you a little bit of money. You can, of course, pay someone to do all of this website setup for you, and now you know what to tell them. You want to tell them, hey, my primary goal is to get readers on my email list. You want to tell them those 4 pages that you need, and maybe an optional one if you want. And then you want to remind your designer that this is for readers and tell them what that means for you. Who's your ideal reader? Who's your designer trying to help you reach? Look at examples of author websites. There are tons of good and bad ones out there, so pay attention to which ones are easy for you to navigate, which ones are appealing to you, and this is one case where you especially want to look at websites in your genre, because you want to appeal to those readers, not just any reader. So even though you love that historical fiction writer's website, it might not be right for your thriller books. So that's my tips for building your author website. Now that I've shared them, what do you plan on including in your author website? Share it in the comments below. You can even post a link to your website and I'll go take a look. For more videos on reaching your readers, like through websites and other platforms, and on writing itself, subscribe to Ignited Ink Writing, a channel dedicated to helping authors like you transform your writing so it lingers with your readers. Because writing that lingers gets remembered and recommended to others. I'm Caitlin Burvey, editor and writer. To find out more about me and see how I approached building my editing website, go to www.ignitedinkWriting.com. There you will see an example of a fleshed out old website. I've had that one for quite a while, and I added all of the stuff you see on there gradually. I did not do it all at once. It's also a good example if you're writing nonfiction of how you might want to set that up to help your nonfiction bring in business to whatever your area of expertise is. Then, if you want an example of a fiction website, you can go to caitlinburvey.com. That's my author website. You'll see it's fairly simple, especially compared to my editing one. There are 2 extra pages on there. I do have the blog page and I have a speaker page. Both of those I added months after I created the first basic website. I did not have those ones right away. I did have the home page, the author page, the books page, and the contact page. And now it's your turn to start designing your author website so it's ready before you publish and will help you ignite your ink.